Hey everyone, welcome to this deep dive. And today we're tackling something pretty huge, building and scaling a brand in today's market. It feels like every corner you turn, there's a new competitor vying for attention. So how do you stand out? How do you build something that lasts? Well, we're going straight to the source for this one. We've got advice from some seriously successful entrepreneurs, people like Alex Hormozi, Simon Squibb, Ali Abdaal, even Alan Dipp, the lean marketing guy.
Oh yeah, his stuff is gold.
All pulled from their YouTube channels. It's kind of like getting a crash course in their hard-won wisdom.
It's amazing how much valuable info they just put out there for free.
I know, right? So today we're sifting through all that gold, trying to extract the nuggets you can actually use.
Those aha moments.
Exactly. The stuff that might change how you think about growing your brand. And I'm not just talking about slapping a logo on something and calling it a day.
Right, it's way deeper than that.
It's about crafting a feeling, an experience, a sense of value that people connect with.
Alex Hormozi makes this great analogy. Compares building a brand to selling soda or a t-shirt.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Think about it. If you love a particular soda or a certain brand of shirt, just fits you perfectly.
You're going back for more.
Exactly.
You're like, this just works for me.
It's that feeling that keeps people coming back.
Okay, so how do we translate that to building a brand?
It starts with understanding what a brand really has. Simon Squibb, who built the agency Fluid, talks about the importance of purpose.
Purpose.
Like think Apple and their association with creativity, or Nike and their focus on athletes. What's your core purpose? What problem are you solving?
So before even thinking about logos or taglines, you need to define that core essence, the reason you exist beyond just making money.
Precisely.
And Squibb actually makes a really interesting point about passion versus finding a gap in the market.
Yeah, he built his agency despite tons of competition because he was just so passionate about what he was doing.
So he's saying follow your heart, not just the trends, which is kind of the opposite of what a lot of business advice tells you, right?
Right. Usually it's go where the money is, find that untapped niche.
So are we saying that's wrong?
I think it's more nuanced than that. Passion fuels you.
Yeah.
It helps you persevere through the tough times, and it shines through in everything you do.
People can feel that authenticity.
Especially when it comes to building a brand.
Okay, so let's say you've got that passion, you've defined your purpose. How do you start scaling?
Alex Hormozi has this framework called More, Better, New. I think you'll like this.
Okay, lay it on me.
The idea is to start by doing more of what's already working. He even says, forget about perfection, just focus on output, especially when it comes to content creation.
More content, more content, more content.
It's about getting your ideas out there, refining as you go.
But doesn't quality matter?
Of course, quality matters, but sometimes the best way to improve is just to do more. Think about it. You learn so much more from actually creating something than from endlessly planning or tweaking it.
Okay, I can see that.
You're getting feedback. You're seeing what resonates.
And you're iterating.
Exactly.
So more doing, less agonizing.
I like that.
Speaking of getting your message out there, Hormozi's a huge advocate of starting free to build momentum. I remember him talking about this testimonial video he did for his gym launch program. Basically gave away a ton of value up front, resulted in tons of new clients.
Gym Launch is a coaching program for gym owners, by the way.
Right. He did the same thing with a live demo of a cleaning product.
It's like a free sample at the grocery store. It lets you experience the product before you commit.
Yeah, builds trust.
Exactly.
But here's a different perspective. Ali Abdaal, who's built a huge following online, says you should hone your skills to a paid level before offering services. So there are definitely different schools of thought on this one.
There are, and that's what makes this stuff so interesting. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
You have to figure out what works for you.
What feels right for your business.
And your audience.
Absolutely.
One of the insights that really resonated with me was the idea of embracing failure.
Oh yeah, Simon Squibb talked about that.
He said, don't be afraid to look like a loser. Pretty bold, right?
He's not advocating for being intentionally bad, of course. But the point is, so many people are paralyzed by the fear of failure that they never even try.
Yeah, they never take that first step.
Squibb's willingness to experiment, to try things that might not work, that's where the real learning happens.
He actually learned some crucial lessons from his comic book business failure.
Which ultimately helped him succeed with Fluid.
It's like that saying, fail fast and fail forward.
The quicker you can learn from your mistakes, the quicker you can get back on track.
And to move closer to your goals.
Exactly.
Now let's shift gears a bit to something that's often seen as kind of sleazy, selling.
Oh.
But Simon Squibb has this really interesting take on it. He argues it's all about storytelling.
Shifting the focus from features to the sizzle, as they say.
The classic example is Steve Jobs and Apple. He wasn't just selling phones and computers. He was selling an experience.
A ceiling.
A story.
And it worked.
Big time.
But here's the thing. Squibb says this storytelling approach can apply to anything.
Even something as mundane as a staircase.
A staircase.
He told this funny story about buying a staircase in London. That got a ton of media attention.
Really?
Yeah. So he's using this unique object, something unexpected, to tell a story about his brand.
I like that. It's a way to capture attention, to stand out from the crowd.
Exactly. And it brings up another point Squibb made. Effective marketing is about truly understanding your customer.
Even if you're in a niche market.
He used the example of Facebook and how they leveraged a simple feature, relationship status, to fuel early growth.
That's so smart. They tapped into a core human need, the desire for connection, and built a feature around it.
So for you listening, that means asking yourself, what are the deeper needs and desires of your target audience?
What problems are they trying to solve?
What are their pain points?
What keeps them up at night?
Okay, so you've got the passion, the purpose. You're embracing failure. You're telling stories. And you're understanding your customer. What about getting your message out there? Squibb had some really specific advice about PR.
Oh yeah, PR can be a beast.
He argues it should be strategic and helpful, not just about getting your name out there.
It's about targeted PR that delivers tangible results.
He compared a generic business journal article, which had little impact, to a BBC feature on his doorbell project, which generated a ton of interest and leads.
So it's about choosing the right platform for the right message.
Being intentional about your outreach.
Makes sense.
And this brings us to another topic that can be kind of intimidating. Investors.
Oh boy.
Squibb talked about the different types of investors. Angels, venture capitalists, and dispelled some of the Dragon's Den myths.
You mean those dramatic TV show portrayals?
Exactly.
What did he say?
Well, what's interesting is that he encouraged people to seek investors who bring more than just money to the table.
So not just looking for a check.
Right. He suggested asking for help, not just funding. Reframing the investor relationship as a collaborative partnership.
I love that.
It's about finding people who believe in your vision and can contribute their expertise to your success.
And on that note, Squibb emphasized the importance of defining your personal values and non-negotiables.
Your non-negotiables.
He argued that this forms the basis for a genuine, sustainable brand identity.
So knowing yourself, what you stand for, what you're willing to compromise on, that's the foundation of a strong brand.
It all starts with you?
I like that. It all starts with you. So it's like you're building this solid foundation for your brand.
Based on who you are at your core.
And then from there, you can start to build outward.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about Alan Dibb, Mr. Lean Marketing?
He's got some really practical advice.
Like how to make the most of your time and resources.
Right. He's all about doing LSS, but doing it exceptionally well.
That sounds appealing.
He talks about these 3 key leverage points.
Yeah.
Tools, assets, and processes.
So basically optimizing those areas to maximize impact.
Without spreading yourself too thin.
Working smarter, not harder.
You got it.
You know, I used to think I had to be on every social media platform, creating content 24/7, but Dibb's approach really shifted my perspective.
It's about finding the tools and systems that work for you.
And using them to streamline your efforts.
Exactly.
Instead of trying to do everything manually.
Automation is your friend.
Anything that can be done by technology should be automated.
Freeing up your time and energy.
For the things that require human creativity.
Exactly.
So we've got our tools, our assets, our processes. What about our people?
Team building.
Simon Squibb had some great advice about hiring.
Finding the right people is crucial.
He emphasized the importance of hiring people who share your values and are passionate about your mission.
Culture fit is so important.
He actually shared a story about making the mistake of hiring someone who was super talented but didn't fit the company culture.
Oh no.
Yeah, it created a lot of friction.
And negativity.
Which held the company back.
That's a tough lesson to learn.
But it highlights how culture can trump talent.
You can have the most skilled people in the world, but if they're not aligned with your values and vision, it's not going to work.
It's like a sports team with all-star players,
Yeah.
but no teamwork.
They might have individual brilliance, but they won't win championships.
So how do you build that strong team culture?
Well, Squibb believes it starts with leadership.
Setting the tone.
Creating an environment where everyone feels valued
And respected.
and empowered to do their best work.
Okay, so we've got our team in place. We've got a clear vision. Now, how do we make decisions effectively?
Decision-making.
Something I definitely struggle with.
It's a challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs.
Dib has a very straightforward approach. Make decisions quickly and decisively.
Even if you're not 100% sure,
He calls it analysis paralysis. When you get stuck overthinking everything,
it can cripple your business.
better to make a decision and move forward.
And they get bogged down in endless what-ifs.
He even shared a story about agonizing over whether to launch a new product.
What did he do?
He set a deadline, made a decision, and launched it.
Sometimes you just have to jump in,
And trust your gut.
especially in the fast-paced world of business.
You know, speaking of learning and adapting, Squibb talked about analyzing both wins and losses.
To understand what worked, what didn't.
And why?
It's about being a student of your own journey.
Constantly seeking to improve and evolve.
And that brings us to another crucial point: continuous learning.
All of the experts we've discussed today emphasize that.
Always be learning.
It's like that saying, the day you stop learning is the day you start dying.
A bit traumatic, but true.
And learning doesn't have to be formal or academic.
It could be reading books,
Listening to podcasts,
attending conferences.
even just having conversations with people who are smarter than you.
Check this.
Surround yourself with people who challenge you.
And inspire you.
And on that note, Squibb also stressed the importance of finding mentors
People you admire and respect.
who can offer guidance and support.
Mentorship can be so valuable.
It's like having a guide on your journey
Someone who's been there before.
and can help you navigate the challenges.
And Squibb encouraged people to be proactive about seeking mentors,
Attending industry events,
networking with people they admire.
reaching out for advice,
He actually shared a story about reaching out to a successful entrepreneur he admired,
and how that person became a valuable mentor.
offering guidance and support.
It's amazing how a simple act of reaching out can lead to such powerful connections.
You never know unless you try.
So true. I'm curious, what stood out to you as the most impactful advice about building relationships?
Whether it's with customers
Investors?
or mentors.
What really resonated?
You know, I think it all boils down to authenticity.
Being genuine.
Building relationships based on trust and mutual respect.
You can't fake authenticity.
And people can spot a phony a mile away.
It's about showing up as your true self.
Letting your passion and purpose shine through.
Right, and that brings us to another important point. Taking risks.
Scribb's a big believer in that.
Taking calculated risks, of course.
Not just blindly jumping into anything.
He argues that playing it safe can lead to stagnation.
You have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone.
He actually shared a story about taking a big risk on a new business venture.
And how it paid off.
It ended up being a huge success.
But even if it hadn't, the lessons learned would have been valuable.
So it's about having a growth mindset
Being willing to experiment.
and learning from both your successes and setbacks.
Exactly.
You know, I used to get so stressed about getting everything done perfectly, but Dib's advice on prioritizing and focusing on the 20% that really matters has been a game changer.
It's so easy to get caught up in the minutia.
But focusing on the activities that generate the biggest impact is crucial for maximizing your time and energy.
Working smarter, not harder.
And that brings us to another topic that's often overwhelming for entrepreneurs: social media.
Oh yeah, that can be a beast.
Ali Abdaal had some great advice about that.
Well, he's built a massive following online, so he knows a thing or two about navigating the social media landscape
He believes in focusing on platforms where you actually enjoy spending time.
and where your target market hangs out.
Trying to be everywhere is a recipe for burnout.
He actually shared a story about feeling overwhelmed by the pressure to be active on every platform.
So what did he do?
He decided to focus on just YouTube and Twitter
Where he felt most comfortable.
and knew his target audience was.
And guess what?
He was able to create better content, engage more authentically, and grow his following more effectively.
It's about finding your sweet spot
The platforms where you can shine.
and connect with your audience in a meaningful way.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about something that can be a real sticking point for some entrepreneurs: pricing.
Yeah, that can be tricky.
Abdaal has a very straightforward approach.
What's that?
Charge what you're worth.
Don't undervalue your skills and expertise.
He says too many entrepreneurs undercharge, fearing they won't get clients.
But that often attracts the wrong kind of clients.
The ones who are always looking for the cheapest option.
Not necessarily the best value.
He actually shared a story about raising his prices.
And what happened?
He attracted higher quality clients.
Who are willing to pay for his expertise.
It's a powerful reminder that pricing is a reflection of your value.
Not just a number on a page.
And speaking of reflecting value, Squib had some interesting insights about building a brand that truly represents who you are,
He believes that your personal brand is the foundation for your business brand.
and that it should reflect your values,
And
unique perspective,
he suggests taking some time to really think about your core values
the things you're truly passionate about.
and the things you're absolutely unwilling to compromise on.
He actually shared a story about struggling to define his personal brand.
So what did he do?
He sat down and wrote a list.
Of his values
Passions.
and non-negotiables,
It helped him clarify things.
and ultimately shape the identity of his business.
That's a great exercise for any entrepreneur.
It's about getting clear on what you stand for
What you believe in.
and what you want your business to represent in the world.
Yeah, it can be so easy to lose sight of the big picture when you're in the weeds.
You're just trying to survive the day-to-day.
Exactly.
But it all goes back to authenticity.
Not just for your brand, but for you.
Right. You have to take care of yourself too.
Like Alan Dibb said about self-care.
Oh yeah, he's a big advocate for that. Exercise.
Healthy eating.
It's so easy to neglect those things,
When you're hustling.
but they're so crucial.
For maintaining energy and focus.
He actually shared a story about burning himself out
Working crazy hours.
and neglecting his health.
He realized he had to make a change.
So he started prioritizing those things.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
You have to take care of yourself
To be able to show up fully for your business
and your family.
and for yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, on a similar note, Squib talked about the importance of planning.
But not getting bogged down in complicated documents.
Right. He advocates for a simple one-page marketing plan,
Outlining the essential.
target
Unique selling proposition.
marketing channels.
Key metrics.
Having a clear plan provides focus and direction.
Even a simple one.
And he emphasized reviewing and adjusting it regularly,
As things change.
which they always do.
Speaking of things changing, one thing that can be really scary for entrepreneurs, especially new ones, is public speaking.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
But Squib had some really encouraging advice about that.
He believes it's a skill you can learn.
Even if you're terrified of getting up in front of people.
He actually used to be terrified himself.
No way.
Yeah. He joined Toastmasters to overcome his fear,
So it's about practicing, putting yourself out there.
getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
And, being able to speak confidently is so valuable.
Whether it's pitching investors
Giving presentations.
or even just networking.
Speaking of networking,
Squig had some great advice about that too.
what'd he say?
He's not a fan of the collect as many business cards as possible approach.
He believes in building genuine relationships.
With people you actually connect with,
Quality over quantity.
he shared a story about going to an industry event and focusing on having meaningful conversations with just a few people,
And it led to valuable connections.
even lasting friendships.
It's not about selling yourself to everyone in the room.
It's about connecting with people on a human level.
Absolutely.
Okay, last but not least, let's talk about raising capital.
The money question.
Squib's perspective is really interesting.
What's his take?
It's about more than just securing money.
It's about finding the right partners.
Partners who can help you achieve your vision.
He stressed being selective.
Choosing investors who share your values
Believe in your mission.
and can contribute their expertise to your business.
He even shared a story about turning down an investment offer.
From someone who didn't align with his values.
Wow.
He knew taking money from the wrong person could hurt his business.
More than it would help.
Exactly. It's about finding investors who are truly invested in your success.
Not just writing checks.
Right. Okay, so we've talked about a lot today.
A lot of really valuable insights.
From defining your purpose to embracing failure.
Building a strong team to navigating investors,
We've explored storytelling,
authenticity,
providing value.
and taking care of yourself.
It's been a whirlwind.
But a good one.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay, hit me.
Given everything we've discussed, what one action could you take this week to move your brand forward?
Even just a small step.
Maybe it's reaching out to a potential mentor,
Defining your core values.
experimenting with a new marketing strategy.
The key is to take action.
Keep moving forward.
Never stop learning and growing.
That's it for this deep dive. We hope you enjoyed it.
And that you learned something valuable.
We'll see you next time for another exploration of the world of knowledge and ideas.